Hello and welcome to the Plot Twist podcast. My name is Catherine, and I'm coming to you from the north of Germany. And I welcome you to this space once more. Happy New Year. Thank you for coming back or for checking out this podcast in the first place. This is a podcast about slow fashion and knitting primarily. Before I start to dive into my knitting, and I am on a bit of a time crunch today, so I need to check my watch because then eventually I'll have to run and pick up my kids. I will get you a little bit caught up on where I've been, what December has been like, and so on. So because it's the same spiel every time, but I meant to be back here much earlier. Really. And also the lighting situation isn't maybe perfect because I'm in the sun now. Not all of me, just like half of me, so that it's nice and confusing for the camera. But I kind of don't have it in me to close the drapes because this is the first sun we've had in a long time. Maybe it's the second real actual sun that we've had in a month, I want to say. One day was all sunny and absolutely gorgeous. It's also the day that my car broke down in the middle of the car wash and it wouldn't, what's the word? Not snap into gear, but I couldn't start it because the battery was dead in the middle of the car wash. So that was one of those sunny days. And today wasn't a sunny day at all, but the sun honestly just came out. And I thought, okay, so perfect. The one day that I get a chance to podcast, obviously I'm sat in the middle of, but I do want to soak it out while it lasts. So I'm going to keep the drapes open and hope for the best. Also, it might really be that within 5 minutes, the sun is gone. Okay. Where have I been? I meant to podcast in November, and I think I published maybe I did podcast in November, but I do think I published maybe my German video in November, but maybe that was October. Who knows? Because once every quarter I will probably publish one German video that kind of catches you up on everything I've been knitting in that, those 3 months. And my usual podcasts are, however, in English. So, and it's been a long while because, again, the same thing every time. Again, if you've been here before, you know that whole song and dance. My kids have been sick. My husband has been sick. I have been sick. My husband's body kind of refused to get better. He has been sick for about a month, really. That was the first, and we've all just taken time to recover, dragged through the last weeks of school before Christmas, and then finally we're on Christmas break, and then we really just didn't do anything much but rest and not invite anyone, which sounds weird now, really antisocial, but it was so good. And we could just relax as much as you can with 3 kids running through the house. So that was kind of what I did. Also, I have an infected finger, which sounds dramatic, but it hurts a lot. It's been going on for a week. So this entire year, I've had an infection on my finger, and it's been really, really bothersome. It's incredible to me how something on your finger can really impact everything in your life, but it has really drained me of energy. I could only sleep with an ice pack or with painkillers, and it's weird. And so I went to the doctors yesterday and I said, look, this is what we're dealing with. And then there was a pretty painful procedure. And then today I had to go again, but it was all good. And now they want to see me again in today's time. So having said that, it's just, I said that just to make the point that it's hard to knit with your finger infected. So you know, it wasn't the smoothest start to the year. Breaking down in the middle of the car wash, holding up the entire, you know, traffic, having a finger infection that just didn't get any better at all. And then on top of that, not being able to knit a bunch. So, that was, well, it was just what it was. But here I am talking like a crazy woman, like I have 2 hours to spare, which I don't. So I'm going to dive right in. All of this to say, I'm knitting through the chaos, people. Isn't that so fantastic? It is. I got this for, I want to say my birthday, but that's not true. That was 3 months ago. For Christmas. My mom gifted this to me for Christmas. It says Knitting Through the Chaos. I hope the camera did focus there. It is by Minouk. They produce knitting postcards and this and bags and stuff. And I saw this little mug and I thought, okay, deal. This is my is one of my Christmas wishes for this year, and I sent it to my mother right away. That may as well have been October, and told her, you know, no matter what I say, this is something I would really love for Christmas. And then obviously she got it for me. I mean, obviously, because, well, she's the kind of person who immediately buys that then. And so she got it for me, and I am very happy about it. Covered in yarn already. And it's been my mantra for the last, I don't know, months, even before I had this. Okay, cheers, folks. Before I forget, you can find me on Ravelry. I will link my Ravelry pages for every project that I talk about below this video in the info box, in the description box. And I will also link my, wherever you can find me, like my email address, my Instagram, and so on and so forth. So please do check there if there's anything you want more information on, or you want to get in touch, or whatever it is. You will find everything there in the show notes below this video. And now, I'm sorry, and now I will start with my finished objects of last year. There are, as of yet, 0 finished objects of 2025. And I will try to just show you the things that I finished last year. There has been a lot of sock knitting, you guys. A lot of sock knitting. It all started with, I was generally in a sock knitting mood already in my last video. I had tons of socks cast on, and was trying out new sock knitting needles and so on and so forth. And I went to our little town where we live, and there's a yarn store, which is just a very plain commercial yarn store. But they have this good rustic German sock yarn there. And then at the beginning of whenever that was, sometime in November, they had this year's Christmas colors. What was it? I think Lana Grossa Meilenweit. So that is a German, Lana Grossa is a German yarn brand, and Meilenweit is their sock yarn, and they bring out new sort of Christmas colorways every year. And I usually quite like them. And so I stocked up, went home, and started knitting socks. And my kids had demanded Christmas socks, and I thought it was kind of neat since they all got, and we never do that, but they all got, and me too, for St. Nick's, which is the 6th of December, matching Christmas jammies. So I thought it might be kind of nice if they all had Christmas socks. And of course, I wanted to finish them by the 24th, which is the day that we celebrate Christmas. And I did make it. I finished the last sock for kid number 3 on the evening of the 23rd. So they were on his at his place at the table the morning that he woke up on the 24th, and he was super happy. And so they all put their Christmas socks on, and I'm going to show them to you now. But they have been worn, and they look worn. So these are the socks for my daughter. So that is one of those, cute little Christmas colorways that I really enjoyed this, not year, but yeah, this year, this season, this Christmas, they have been worn and not washed yet. So these are my daughter's little socks. I cast on, she's about to turn 4, and I cast on how many stitches? 48 stitches for those. For my oldest son, who is 9, I cast on the same yarn with 56 stitches. And the ball of yarn, 100 grams, lasted exactly for those 2 pairs of socks. And it was just sheer luck because I had about, I don't know, 1 or 2 grams left, just the tiniest amount. And it was really perfect. It was not even yarn chicken. I just thought for sure there's going to be enough yarn in there, but I just didn't calculate that my son at 9 years old, he's already a meter 42 centimeters, 45, something like that. So he is really quite tall already, and as are his feet. So it's a small adult sock that I'm knitting here. So these two, I think they're so cute together. The smallest one in the family and the biggest one in the family. Also, obviously, the striping is a little different just because the stripes are a little bit longer on this sock and just a little bit shorter on this one. But yeah, so those were really fun. The colorway, so this is Lana Grossa Meilenweit, like I said, and the colorway is number 6795. Okay, and I put this on the what's it called? Not on the foot of the sock, on the sole. So as to, because we have wooden floors and they would just slip and slide all day in their woolen socks. So, and I'm sorry, now this isn't quite, this is not fresh out of the wash, but that's how it looks. And you can put like these sock stopper thingies on there. It's a liquid and you put it on and then you let it dry overnight. And it really does do the trick. So they don't slide with these. And I figured, I'd heard from people that they tend to come off and blah, blah, blah. But I figured, okay, so I have nothing to lose. If I don't use these, I'm sorry, my kids are not going to be able to wear woolen socks in the house because they don't wear these and house shoes. No, that would be too easy. They're not going to do that. So I figured if I don't put these kind of anti-stopper thingies on there, they're not gonna be able to wear socks, hand-knit socks. And I thought that would be a bummer. So I'm just gonna try it and see how it works. So far it's been working fine, but I mean, they were only finished, I don't know, a handful of weeks ago. And this is what I used. So this is the stuff you put on the sole of the foot. I hope you could see that. It says Sock Stop. It's like this, it says it's a sort of color that you put on there, but it turns into this rubber substance. And the brand is called Marabout that produces that. So that's what I used. And the third pair of socks was then knit out of a different yarn. I mean, I have another ball of the one that you just saw, but I wanted a pair out of these. I wanted a pair like these out of this yarn myself, and it wouldn't have been enough. Judging from what I saw, just right there with those 2 kid socks and the ball of yarn was entirely used up. So I figured I cannot make a pair for me and my middle son, who is 6 years old, about to turn 7 in a few days, and B, he had picked out a skein of yarn, of Christmas yarn last year that I didn't yet get around to knitting him socks out of. So I went straight to that because he kept saying throughout the year, oh, this is my Christmas yarn. And so perfect. These are them. Another commercial yarn. For this one, I cast on 52 stitches. So I had 48, 52, 56 for my 3 kids, and they look really big now, but he has a very high instep. And also they're not out of the wash. That always stretches them a little bit, but okay, so that's what it looks like. The yarn, I did not write down the yarn. It may have also been Lana Grossa. I don't know. I hope it's on my Ravelry page, or if it isn't, I will have to look it up and just put it there. I wasn't super happy about the yarn because I thought this, yes, granted, it's a kid's sock, so it is, the circumference is a little smaller, and that elongates the individual stripes. But I thought the red and the green and so the dark and the light green are so long, those stripes, and then these are more in the frequency that I would consider, I don't know, really sufficient for a sock. It's just down to taste. There's nothing wrong with this yarn. It's just that I don't really fancy it as much. Especially the red part is so long that I was really happy it ended up being here for the heel, so that it wouldn't be just the half the sock. But that also meant winding off some of the yarn to start the new sock at the same place, not so that they look identical, because I usually don't care, but I want it for the red to end up on the heel again, so that again I would avoid this half a sock of red effect, and I'm glad I did. And now they're matchy, and all of my kids are happy, and I have warm feet and demand their socks, so I'm really happy about that. And I finished another pair of socks, and I think you've seen them on the podcast before. And these are for me, and these are DK socks. And there you go. I really enjoy them. I think the yarn is so fun. It's nothing fancy, just cast on 52 stitches with a 2.5 millimeter needle. So I would usually go with a 2 by 2.25. I mean, not that it matters, because like every knitter is just different with that, but I'm a very loose knitter, so a 2.5 millimeter needle is my needle for DK socks, and I cast on 52 stitches and went with 2x2 ribbing as always, and then with a 3x1 leg as always. Heel flap, gusset, toes. Nothing much to write home about, just a pair of socks, and I haven't worn them yet, but I've given them a wash and kind of oohed and awed at the colors. These are really my colors. This is really a color palette that I can stand behind 100%. And yeah, I think I'm gonna have to wear them soon before it becomes too warm. But then again, it's gonna be a quick minute before it's too warm for DK socks in Germany. So I need not work myself up over this. Okay, hold on. Now I have a good half hour to give you a rundown of my projects. And I'm going to show you the ones that I've really been actively working on over the last weeks. None of them have been finished, and that is due to the fact I say that in a resignated voice, which does a total disservice to how I'm feeling about this. So none of them have been finished, but no, there's no but there. At the same time, I was just very consciously giving into the urge to knit all the things, really all the things. I wanted to cast on everything. I was inspired by everything, and I'm still very inspired by all of my yarns, by all the yarns that I've since, over the fall and winter months acquired. Projects that I desperately want to cast on and really have bought yarn especially, and gift knits, and because birthdays and so on and so forth. And I'm in November or whenever it was, I really gave in to that and really, really enjoyed the casting on of things. And thought, no, it's not too much. It's meant to fill my cup. It's meant to be cozy. I want to knit myself in to all the cozy things, not just like as in producing garments for my that I could put on my body, but also in the sense that I wanted to make to nest. I wanted to nest, essentially. I wanted to make my life as cozy as I possibly could. And if that meant casting on 5,000 things and then knitting through them over the winter, fine by me, okay, then let's do that. And that's exactly what I did. So I cast on many things. I also resisted at the same time casting on many other things. But I did cast on a handful of things, and then I knit on this, and then I was obsessed with that, and then I knit on that for 5 days, and and that was so fun. It was. Oh. I'm sitting in front of our fireplace, so this is the side of our fireplace. This is the spot that warms up when you heat a fire, and I just heard it's a bit stormy. It's been a bit stormy for quite a few days. And I just heard the wind rushing through the shaft just behind me. And I was like, what is this? I can still hear it. I hope you don't. This is where the chimney kind of comes down. Anyway, so yeah, I cozied myself up for winter. And now I'm knitting through projects. And I've enjoyed just the wealth of projects and the multitude of projects. And now I think I'm at the point where I transition into wanting to work through one project and then the next and then the next and clear off some of those needles, even though that does sound a little too harsh now for me. But like now I want to dedicate a little bit more time to one project and then have it off my needles as in a finished project. Not so much in order to finish, to clear off my needles, but to have something to show for it, And so I did spend a whole chunk of time knitting on a gift knit, on a half and half triangles wrap. Now there's hair on my knitting, I apologize. And yeah, well, it's a half and half. Oh, I am. I wanted to say I'm not in the middle of a row, and I'm not in the middle of a row. I'm pretty much at the end of a row, but I didn't finish knitting this little bit because I ran out of yarn, essentially. So I'm knitting a half and half triangles wrap for my friend. One color is this color, which I think is absolutely stinking gorgeous, and the other is this one. It's going to be so fantastic, and it's going to fit her so well. It's going to suit her so well. And I'm gonna try and show you. Well, this is just the fabric I've produced so far, and I have decreased all of the stitches except for those. Okay, so all of these stitches that are bunched up, oh no, I pulled out the needle, oh, dang. All of those bunched up stitches that I cannot really show you now have already been German short rowed and are waiting, for me to finish this little tip. I will continue decreasing until I reach about, I don't know, here maybe, and we'll have all of those decreased away, all of those stitches, and then I will add the next color. And so this is the end of the 6th ball of Rauma Finul. So that's the yarn, Rauma. And I used for my half and half, I think I used 6 of those for one triangle. So that will be 300 grams. But I have ordered 6 of each color and it's not enough. So I needed to reorder. And with the yellow, they couldn't give me the same lot. So I will first knit all of those that belong together and then see where I stand. For this beautiful teal turquoise green situation right here, I could get one more ball in the lot that I needed. And then the second is another lot, but this, I think I'm just going to need one more ball of yarn, so 50 more grams, and I might be fine with that. Yeah, that could well be. I think this yarn and this project are a perfect combination. I have my half and half triangles wrap, which I can link down below for you, which is just an absolute dream. I mean, it's such a well-loved project. It's one of my all-time favorite makes. I wear it all the time, honestly, throughout the house, in the house. You know what I mean. And also outdoors when it's really cold. And out of the scraps, I made a scrappy headband to go with it. So when I'm out in the garden, I can just pull it on and they match, or not even just out in the garden, but like anywhere outside. And it's such a fun project. I cannot recommend it more. I always used to think it was a little, I don't know, a little blah, until I cast one on myself. And then I fell in love head over heels, and here I am making another one to even gift. It's a good friend of mine, so you can tell. But yeah, and this lives in my bag that it's just a hand-sewn bag, not by me, that I purchased for just a few bucks on a market here. And so like a flea market. And I really loved it and thought it was good for a good bag for a winter project. So, and now on to my current, I want to say monogamous work in progress, which lives in this beautiful bag. I hope you can see. So this is yarn by Rauwerk, which is yarn, non-superwash yarn, produced, so both harvested and spun and produced and blah, 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 in Bavaria, so in the south of Germany. And I've had my eye on those yarns for a long time, and until about a year and a half ago, I purchased the quantity that I'm knitting on now, which I thought of as a sweater's quantity until I had to admit that it wasn't quite enough. I've purchased this at a yarn festival in Berlin, and then I couldn't really make up my mind about what to do with it. And then eventually, my brother, for my birthday, gifted me this, and in it, I found a slipover that I wanted to knit, and I thought of this yarn. of this yarn, and I think it's the perfect match. And I'm going to show you the picture real quick, because last time I podcasted, I had only just cast it on. This is where you can see it. It's called the Tuku Warmer Slipover. Oh, hold on. There you are. And that's what I cast on. The yarn I got just the perfect gauge, and it all oh, that's where that is. My daughter's been missing her thingy. Okay, slipped into my project bag. Okay. Her medal, because she got a medal at the doctor's office because she was super brave. She really was. It was a nasty illness that she had, and they had to do something that really hurt, and then she got a medal, a gold medal, for being so brave. And she's been looking for it. Turns out it was in my project bag all along. Okay, so much for that, right? And so I bought this dark red, dark green, and sort of blue/purple, because I cannot really make up my mind of what color that actually is. And it's a slipover, like I said, that I cast it on maybe in October, November, something like that. And you cast it on, and I'm almost done. You cast on up here for the collar, and ooh, there's a fun stitch marker there that I forgot about. Not that I forgot about, that I forgot I had on here. And then you knit one piece and then the other, and then you seam both together for the sides, so for the underarm down. just for a bit though, because it's a split hem. Maybe you saw it on the picture. I'm not a huge fan of split hems. It's not my thing. It's not a look I do endorse. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's not a look for me really so much. Because I think on me it has a tendency to look a little bit frumpy, and I don't know. Anyway, so this is what I knit. This is going to be it. Oh, I'm covering the microphone. Excuse me. Trying to hold it into the sun. So this is the back piece that I knit first, and I hope you can see in the light how it looks. That's the back, and that, my friends, is the front. So I'm almost down to the ribbing. Oops. How can I model her so that she can see something? There you go. I'm super excited about this piece. It's going to be very warm. It is just so fantastically squishy and soft. The colors are everything I need in the world. Like, this is my happy colors. Jewel tones to the rescue. This is, I hope, if it fits the way that I hope and think it will, it's going to be a piece that I grab for when I want to feel really dressed, but also really, really, really comfy, and in a piece of clothing that really understands who I am, if that makes sense to you. Because these colors are so fantastic, especially this. I mean, this is the showstopper for me, but also the red and green, they're just fantastic. These are really colors that I am over the moon happy with. And I need to just add, I think, 3 or 4 ridges of garter and then a ribbing, but it's not going to be as long. Oh, I'm losing my stuff here. It's not going to be quite as long as this, but maybe half or 2/3, something like that. So it's going to be quick. And I'm using my relatively new Knit Pro, so that is Knitter's Pride J'adore needles. So these are basically, see how pretty they are. Can you see that? They're also a very dark purple. I don't think you will see this on camera, but so these are 4.5mm needles, US size 7. The writing hasn't even rubbed off yet completely. So I love this golden joint and this beautiful color of the needles. They're also really, really nice to work with, and they're square, right? They're like these cubics needles, and they're square, and I wanted to try them out. I'm very, very happy with them. I can see myself getting more of these. Then again, on the other hand, I don't think these square needles, I don't think it makes so much of a difference, because what I didn't realize before I bought them is that, I mean, they're going to be, what I didn't really think about is your needles are always going to be covered in yarn. So it's not like you hold them in your hand like this. And even when you do it, they don't feel square. It doesn't feel as awkward as I thought. On the contrary, I hardly even notice. But I thought they were beautiful needles. They work perfectly together with this yarn. This is all the yarn I have left in this blue. It's going to be enough. I think I had 3 skeins of the blue and 1 of the red and green each. And I have about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the, what is that? A quarter of a yarn ball left. So I mean, I might have, I don't know, 20, 30 grams left of those colors. Probably like 30 of the green because I used less, and then 15 or 20 of the red, something like that. I don't know. I haven't weighed it, but there's also going to be a little leftover of the blue, and I might just throw all of this into a little accessory or something. I don't know, or another project, but this is something I'm currently working on and I really want to finish because I want to wear it. And even if, but then again, now is not the time to wear it because I'm just going to be cool in it. But I am glad I have it ready for when warmer days roll around the corner, because they tend to be here. I mean, it's always, when they're here, it's always sudden, you know? I would love to finish my Tuku warmer slipover, but I don't know that I can before I knit something else, because that doesn't make any sense to you. But my daughter is turning 4 in 6 days. And I have set my mind to knitting her a unicorn sweater, which is very, very cute. And I'll try to show it to you. I really want to knit this for her birthday. And it's doable because I got, I mean, she isn't a baby anymore, but it's just a kid's sweater. So I might do it. This is, not I might do it, I might make it. I might still make it. That's what I wanted to say. I got the Rerum Natura Gilead yarn, so it isn't the finest yarn, which is good because I would make relatively quick progress, just like with my slipover. But it's an entire sweater to knit, and it's an intarsia, which I've never knit an intarsia sweater. The only intarsia technique I have ever done, or the only times I've used that technique, is for my heirloom quilt cardigan, which I haven't made any progress on whatsoever, but it's color worked flat. So I wouldn't transport the contrasting color all the way to the end of the row and back, just so I could join it in where I left off, if that makes sense to you now. But I would just twist the yarn and use that intarsia technique to, when I figured I don't need that color B anymore for the rest of the row, so to knit all the way in color A, knit all the way back on the other side, and then pick my color B back up, if that makes sense to you. So that's the only time I did that. I don't think intarsia is hard. It's just that this is something I need to wrap my head around for a minute. And that just, I don't know if it's the best to do that on a time crunch, but so this is where I am. This is where I can show you the sweater. I'm gonna make it so you cannot read the pattern because it's pay for. But I want you to see this little cute sweater. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, so you knit a sweater, and you intarsia knit a unicorn into it. My main color is going to be this green, and my unicorn, so which is that? That is Die Rerum Natura Gilead in the colorway Cèdre. There you go. Then my unicorn color is this pink. Looks a bit disheveled here. And the colorway is called Quartz. So that's that. And these are them together. I thought they looked really fun together. Can you tell? I hope you can in the light. I'm sorry. A very, very light pink and this beautiful dark green. I hope she's going to like it. I hope I'm going to finish. I'm absolutely positive she would love it, especially because the unicorn is attached a mane. So you attach a mane to the unicorn and you use a second contrasting color and a finer yarn than this. So like I would pick a pink fingering weight yarn that I have. You can pick any color whatsoever, but I know exactly the one that I want, which is, goodness knows what it's called, but a color by Molly Homespun House, which I still have plenty of in my stash. So a ball that I broke into, and I would use that for the mane. So you attach just a little fringe and that's the horse's or the unicorn's mane. And then you just embroider the eye on, and that's that. So I really, 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 really want to knit this for her birthday, and I hope I can just do it and just devote the time to it. Also with my finger, because it's not so easy. It's getting better now that I've seen a doctor, so it's not so easy to just knit so much with a finger infection, but okay. I really want to do it. Also, I don't want to do it in front of her. So now I've cast on a car ride the other day. I cast on the back, and I'll try and show it to you because it's just a tiny little piece. So this is where I am, just a little piece. I use this as my swatch, and so no, I haven't washed it, but I'm right on gauge, which I thought I was going to be, and I am. Yay. I didn't have a stitch marker here, so I just put that safety pin in, and these are, I think, 4mm needles. So yeah, that is all I have of the back piece of the sweater. You knit it in pieces, which is good because intarsia in the round must be an absolute nightmare, and I wouldn't have done that. So this is the back panel, and this has not a lot of intarsia knitting, only at the bottom. And then I will have to knit the front and then the arms and then do all the finishing. So I don't know. This probably entails night shifts over the weekend. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to finish it in time, and I'm just going to show it to her on her birthday and say, like, look, I'm knitting this for you, but it's going to be three more days or whatever. I don't know. But I would really love to have it off my needles. I don't know. Bing! That would be the obvious solution, right? So this lives in my little bag because we're not too far from the coast. I mean, we're up north, not at the coast, but about an hour's drive away, roughly. So we consider ourselves northerners, and sometimes we get coast winds where you can really smell the sea, which is totally freaky because I don't know how that is possible, but it sometimes happens. Anyway, up next is my fringe supply bag with my teeny tiny selection of pins on it. I don't have a whole lot. Again, here there's a seagull because we're now people with who live up north with seagulls. We have moved a bit more than a year ago, which is why I say now. We used to live in Berlin before. And this is my latest addition, a little pin that not a little, but a pin that I got for Christmas. That was included in my gift from my friend Francie. Hi. And so you see, I put it on my back immediately, and just because this was already in use, and I thought it matched so nicely with the other animals and plants, and of course my knitting around the globe pin. Okay, anyway, so yeah, fun project living in here. And these are my Christmas socks, basically from last year. So because last year my friend Claire, hi, gave me West Yorkshire Spinners signature sparkle 4-ply yarn. So that's a sock yarn base that is, I think, as sturdy and hard wearing as our German brands are. So I was absolutely delighted to get to knit with this because I think I really enjoy the West Yorkshire Spinners sock yarn. I've said this before. It's hard to come by here in Germany, and when I got this, I thought, woohoo! And also, this is just perfect for Christmas because of the colors and also because it's sparkly all over. It's all gold stellina, I think you say. And I finally finished my first sock because of all the sock knitting in December. I didn't really work on this, but towards the end of December I did, or also before Christmas, but I didn't make it for Christmas. It doesn't matter. I have a few Christmas socks for myself, and these are probably for next year. So that's the colorway. It's just a stripy sock, sparkly all over. I hope you can tell. I hope you can tell how it sparkles. I don't know. I don't know if you can. Maybe in the sun. Maybe you can tell how it sparkles. I don't know. But I wanted to put in a different color heel just because I thought it was more fun. However, then I found it quite, well, I mean, it's quite see-through, which is kind of bad for the heel. It's the most, so this the spot in the sock that needs to be most hard wearing, and I've decided to, I think the heel flap is good, but for the heel turn, for this little triangle, to just, what's it called? Double stitch it? Duplicate stitch it with maybe the same yarn or one of the colors in here, to just duplicate stitch this little triangle so as to make it a bit more hard wearing, because I think that'd be a good idea to prevent holes from coming in there. And I am on the second sock, and I stopped at the heel after the heel turn. So the worst is over. I can now move into, I like the heel least of all in sock knitting. So I'm now at this point where I've turned the heel and I can knit on. And I think when you're at this point, you're basically done, you know, because it's not going to take me any time at all. But I've just prioritized other knitting. And with this, I chose to put in a yellow heel, like a sort of a mustard colored heel with the red. I thought it was fun because both of those colors also feature in here. And it would just give it a little bit of a different pop of color and just add a little bit more interest, because a gold sparkly sock needs one thing only, that's more interest, right? So, okay, I am at this point, and this sock is also going to be finished someday, and someday soon, I think. And I knit this with my new Addi, well, essentially Addi Flexi Flips, but they're called something with unicorn. Addi Crazy Trio Unicorn, God knows why. By the way, Addi, we've all gotten so used to that brand name, or I don't think it's even the brand. It's the name of the needles. I don't think it's the name of the brand, which makes it even weirder, because my husband, when he saw this, when he held this very pack in his hand, he was like, "Are you serious? Is this what they're called?" And I said, "Well, yes, they are." And I knew what he was aiming at. And he said, "But this cannot be. Why did they never change that?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "It isn't even the brand. It's just," I said, "Yeah, I know. I cannot answer that. It's just a very famous sort of needle, a type of needle, a needle collection. I don't know what." And the thing that I'm getting at is Addi is the short form of Adolf, which is obviously the first name of Hitler. And he said, "Well, this is unfortunate. They should have changed that." And I said, "Well, yeah, they should have, but they didn't." So that was a little funny, seeing his expression of like, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "Well, no." Yeah, so I'm trying these out. All of this to say, I'm trying these needles out. I got them in the fall, and I thought I'd try those out. I don't know. In the beginning, I thought that was very weird, because you constantly have these three going, and so that you end up with even more tips than with my usual 5 DPNs that I would have if I used DPNs. I prefer Magic Loop, but I can deal with DPNs, but these add even, because I thought it's nice, it's only 3 needles instead of 5. But you have even more stuff flying around, you know, because when I knit on this dangles. And it's the whole ballet of where does which tip go so they don't block each other when you know, I don't know. It's not my favorite thing. But having said that, as I knit through this entire, so through a sock and a half with this unicorn trio with the flexi flips, I have gotten kind of less bothered. So I developed a routine sort of, but it's still a little bit weird to me, you know. But for me, for my taste as a knitter, it makes things overly complicated, but it's okay. I can deal with that. I mean, it's fun knitting the sock nonetheless. But I don't know that I will gravitate towards those a whole lot. But I mean, also that can change. I don't know. But it's, well, I'm still a little bit on the fence, but it's also okay. I've made my peace with it, and I'm making progress. I also wanted to talk to you about what I watched, but I will not have time for that now. So I'll push that to the next episode because I desperately want to talk to you about what I've been watching, because it's brought me much joy and it's also got me thinking about many things. And I have so many thoughts on what I watched that I want to talk about it to you, because we always used to do that, but it's not going to happen today, unfortunately, because my doctor's appointment that I had earlier in the day took longer than I thought it would. So they had me waiting for longer than I thought they were gonna. Anyway. Since I thought about like all those, I said before, right? I still want to cast on so many things, and my head is always buzzing with, I want to do this and this and this and this. And also I have, over the last few months, got a little bit of yarn, not too much, but that is so inspiring. Like, what can I knit with this? Or I bought this especially for one project, so that's now in my queue, if you will. And you know that feeling, right? When you're enjoying what you're knitting on so much, but you're also already so very much looking forward to getting to cast on this other thing or these other 5 things that you've had your eye on for a while. So there's never enough knitting time in a day. But I also want to knit a very specific cardigan, or it's probably, if I'm honest, going to be a sweater, because I'm more of a sweater person. It's not that I don't have anything against cardigans. I do wear them, but not as much. And sweaters I wear all the time, every day. Okay, I would just get much more wear out of it. And so I was, that is so stupid. I had such a language moment, okay? I'm obviously not a native speaker of English. And I watched, I watched the Eras tour on Disney Plus, which we haven't ever had. So we only just had it for 2 months this winter, for November and December or whatever it was. And so for the first time in my life, I watched the Eras tour film. And I knew all of the songs. And if I have to absolutely choose, I think right now I would say Folklore is my favorite album of Taylor Swift. It's a bit hard for me to say that, because it's like choosing amongst your children, sort of, but because I really, really like them all. I love them all, but I would choose, if I absolutely had to, I would choose Folklore as my one favorite. And okay, so on the album Folklore, there's the song called Betty. And of course I knew the song Betty, but and I always thought, honest to God, I'd never watched the lyric video or anything. I looked up the lyrics because it's not one of my favorite songs. I like it fine, but it's one of those songs, of those rare songs of hers, that I don't really gravitate towards so much. And she sings, towards the end of the song, so what I always understood was, I still miss you knitted in your cardigan. And that was so fun. Because there is such an emphasis on that. I still miss you knitted in your cardigan. And I thought that was what she was singing, honestly, because I thought it fits her. Like Taylor would say that, why not? Knit it in your cardigan. And I thought it was such a beautiful image for um, to show how strongly you still miss someone, to say, knit it in your cardigan. It's as permanent as this. You can knit it in your cardigan. I miss you. So you always know that's true. You know what I mean? So go ahead, knit it in your cardigan. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change the way that I feel, because I still miss you. That's how much of an emphasis there is to that. That's what I thought. And I thought, oh, that's so pretty. And I thought, why aren't there any cardigans out there in the world of knitters that are all one color and they just say, I miss you at the bottom or wherever on the back, you know, because that would be so cool. And I thought, oh, I have to knit this cardigan. And then I watched the Eras Tour film, and they're sitting on these steps there, her dancers and she's singing like, I miss you. And then I thought, this is not knitted in your cardigan. And I went back and I watched it again, and I thought her lips were doing something else entirely. And then I figured she's actually singing Kissing in Your Cardigan. And that is when I had a major language moment. I laughed so hard at myself, and at the same time clung to that initial thing that I understood, knit it in your cardigan, because of all the things I just explained, because I thought it was so poetic and just such a romantic gesture. And I might still knit the cardigan that just says, I miss you, just for my own benefit, just because I know the story that it's going to tell, and it's going to be pretty freaking awesome, you know. It's going to be my favorite cardigan of all time. But B, so one thing led to another, and I watched the Long Pond studio sessions, and I was absolutely in heaven, because I think it's so fantastic. So I was so in love with the Long Pond studio sessions, still am, will always be. And I had this garment in my head with writing on it from her song, and that's the spirit with which I entered the Long Pond studio sessions. And and then I started writing down lyrics from every song that are not necessarily very prominent, but just that spoke to me most. And I want to turn those into a sweater. Like, I want a sweater that is, and I mean, ideally it would be, in true Taylor Swift fashion, it would be a cardigan, but I'm not much of a cardigan person, so it's going to be sweater, I think. Also, I wouldn't have to steek, and I could go around and around and around. So I want a sweater that is all over color work, and it's just maybe a cream sweater with like dark red writing on it, and it's just lyrics of the songs, so that each song is featured with the lyrics in it that I like the most, or that I find most beautiful, or that speak to me the most. And yes, it's also going to say knit it in your cardigan, definitely. And I think it's going to be my I know it's going to be my folklore sweater. And the thing that's holding me up is I will have to somehow design this. And I really don't know how, because I've never done this, but I want for it to be a round yoke sweater. That much I'm absolutely sure about. I want a round yoke. And I will just have to dive in and figure out how you need to increase for a round yoke, because I don't know. You're increasing in like 2-3 spots with a certain ratio, and I just don't know how to do that. But I know you can figure it out, and I have books that should have all this information in them. So, and I know you're yelling, Elizabeth Zimmerman, I know. I also have two or three maybe other source books that will probably help me. I just need, do you know that block when you know you have to dive down to this rabbit hole, and you just are a little bit afraid of the overwhelm in your mind, so you don't do it in your brain? That's what's been holding me back. But I want the piece so badly that I absolutely have to find the yarn, figure out my gauge, and figure out how the increasing and everything works so that I can make the charts. And that may be a full-time job for me. I don't know how I am going to do this, but I'm really passionate about this project, and I wanted to tell you the Knit It in Your Cardigan story because I think it's just very funny. And it's also proof of the fact that you hear what you want to hear, right? Expectation shapes our reality. There you go. And well, I just thought it was very fun and and a very fun language moment, because sometimes you have language moments that aren't quite as fun, but this was very fun, also funny, and I will definitely knit this piece. And while I cannot now go into any other projects that are upcoming for me, and also sadly have to leave out my discussion of both Fleischman is in Trouble and Parenthood, which are two shows that I desperately want to talk to you about, I wanted to leave you with that story of knitting in your cardigan, kissing in your cardigan. I miss the cardigan with I miss you on it. I don't know. If you ever knit one of those, please tag me in them. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I'm happy I got to at least sit down for this good hour and talk to you about my knitting, both past and sort of upcoming, both in planning and already on the needles, and so on and so forth. So I hope you had a very good start to the new year and are doing good, are healthy, knitting away with 10 fingers that are intact and not, you know, bandaged up. And I hope I can talk to you again soon. I hope you've had, like I said, a beautiful start to the new year, are knitting away, knitting, in fact, through the chaos, you know, as you do. And thank you so much for tuning in. Now that you're here and have apparently made it to the end, you might as well like and subscribe below, or just share the podcast on Instagram in your stories, or just share with a friend or whatever you feel like doing. I really do appreciate that. And I'll be back as soon as I can and show you what's become of all of those projects on my needles. So take care, happy knitting, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.